Just got done watching the UFC 322 main event and it absolutely bored me to tears. So let's focus on a different main event. Let's focus on the main event of pro wrestling and see if Aew Dynamite and NXT did the big numbers. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Interesting news coming in this week. NXT and Dynamite both going up in the numbers, but maybe more surprisingly, the AEW Dynamite has defeated NXT. Yes, Dynamite did better. Dynamite did a higher number than WWE NXT, and that's not happened very often over the past year or the past two. I think the past year and a half, especially since NXT moved to CW, I'm pretty sure Dynamite has only beaten NXT. This is either the third time or the second time, but they haven't done it very often. But they did do it this week, and I'm not surprised. NXT, they had a main event of Ricky Saints, for God's sake. Who the fuck wants to watch Ricky Saints? Absolutely nobody, but whatever. They did do this is NXT. They did a 554,000 rating. That was the amount of viewers that they got, and that is their best rating. It's their best rating since last week. It's 3 weeks in a row. The ratings went up. However, that 554,000 was not as good as Dynamite's, because Dynamite did 600,000 viewers. So, yeah, Dynamite certainly winning when it comes to this week's rating battle, getting more than 46,000 more than WWE NXT. A little bit of a surprise there, but it's a win for Tony Khan. It was AEW Blood and Guts, so you got to factor in it was a big show that they were hyping up, but either way, it is what it is. So we'll focus on what we focus on first. I think we'll focus on the NXT number, and then we'll go on to the Dynamite number, then we'll go into the NXT clips, and then we'll go into the Dynamite clips. But it is a win for AEW and Tony Khan. They haven't had many wins lately against WWE, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, NXT. But who knows, honestly, with the way the numbers are getting on SmackDown and the Netflix numbers on Raw, I wouldn't be surprised if one day Dynamite beats Raw or SmackDown. I wouldn't be, because Raw and SmackDown, I think, are just going to go and get lower and lower. Whereas maybe NXT, maybe Dynamite's as bad as it can be. Maybe Dynamite's hit its low already. Anyway, I mean, Jericho predicted it years ago. It might fucking happen. Not the way he thought it would happen. He thought Dynamite was going to beat Raw because Dynamite was going to be good. Maybe Dynamite one day will beat Raw because Raw's fucking terrible. But either way, here is the NXT number. So 554,000. You can see there was slight improvements. I think they did 225, then 226, then 227. So they had 3 shows that were just within 1,000 viewers of each other. So a bit of an increase this week with the 554. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but let's be honest, it's still a really bad number. They're up 5% on last week's show, and they are still down 2% though on the trailing 4 weeks. And in the key demo, they are down 12%. Last week they did a 0.08. This week they did a 0.07. And they're also down 12% on the key demo for the last trailing 4 weeks, as the last trailing 4 weeks averages out at 0.08. And like I said, this week they did a 0.07. So the numbers for NXT are pretty shite. That's the basic breakdown. These numbers are shite. When they first moved to CW were expecting 1 million viewers, and they've not even achieved that. Not once have they got 1 million viewers. In fact, when was the last time NXT got 1 million viewers? Have NXT ever got 1 million viewers? That's the big question, actually. I'm not sure, because I remember that time in 2023. I'm pretty sure they put Undertaker on it, and they put Cena on it, and that was to kind of combat I think they were going up against Edge making his debut on Dynamite, and people were saying, oh, look, it's the first time Cena and Undertaker have ever been on a show under 1 million viewers. Well, it was the first time Edge was ever on a show with 600,000 viewers. That's what Dynamite got. But yeah, NXT, back when they had Cena and Taker, they couldn't even break 1 million. If they couldn't break 1 million with those two, what chance do they have? I mean, realistically, think about it. If they can't do it with those two, even The Rock's been on NXT and it didn't get a million viewers. So I don't think NXT can get a million viewers. That is my opinion. Right, let's move on to Dynamite then. So they did get 600k. It is their highest rating in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full weeks. So it's been a while since they got the 600k mark. I say the 600k mark as if it's like a milestone, as if it's like an impressive number. It's not. 600k is terrible. Maybe it's not that far off what they were doing last year, but certainly if you go back to 2023, Dynamite were, pretty much, back in 2023, at the beginning of the year, they had a couple of shows that were over a million, but they were kind of in that 900k territory, and then you could just see the longer 2023 went, they kind of started slipping into like the mid 800k, and then ever since they showed that Jack Perry CM Punk shit back in April 2024, they've yet to hit 800,000 since then. So that is kind of crazy. They did get close to it a couple of times in July and May, but in 2025 they haven't got above 750. And there's only, 2 occasions this year where they've got above 700k. So these numbers are equally as shocking. They may have beat NXT this week, but they didn't do it with an impressive number, especially when you factor in the amount of shit they had to put on to the show. So Dynamite did 600,000 viewers, and in the key demo they did a 0.15. So they beat NXT in the key demo as well. Last week they did 497,000, so they're up 21% on last week. The last 4 trailing weeks is averaging about 492,000, so they're up 22% on that as well, which I guess is better than nothing, better than what they've been doing. Their numbers lately have been fucking awful. Look at that. The last 3 shows have been under 500k, so that's a big boost, for Dynamite. Key demo last week was a 0.09, and this week was a 0.15, so they're up 67% on last week's key demo, and the key demo over the past 4 trailing weeks is also 0.09. So they're up 67% over last week's key demo and the last trailing 4 weeks key demo. So it just shows you how bad these numbers are. The fact that they're up like 67% and it's still not a good number, it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing, but that's the stage that we're at here with these numbers. They are fucking shocking. There's no doubt about it. Wrestling is in a really bad way right now. The main roster shows on WWE are getting really poor numbers, so what do you expect the other shows to get? If Raw is doing shit on Netflix, if SmackDown's doing shit on USA Network, then why would anybody think that NXT, the development brand, or, AEW, this crappy number 2 Tony Khan Federation, why would anyone expect good numbers for these shows? You're not going to get them. Simple as that. Alright then, let's get into the NXT clips. So surprisingly, number 1, the highest viewed clip, was Obafemi returns to NXT and stares down Ricky Saints. Not the most extravagant title there, not the most entertaining title, but the reason I think this did 672k was you didn't get to see this on NXT, they didn't get to see this on CW. When Obafemi came out, the show just ended, and I thought maybe that was by design, but then I seen that they'd uploaded pictures and there was a confrontation, so then I thought maybe it was a mistake. But looking at this YouTube clip and the fact it says exclusive, maybe it wasn't by mistake, maybe it was by design. This is perhaps what they wanted, just so they could show it as an exclusive. Or maybe they did run out of time. Maybe it was really poorly done. Maybe the last man standing match went over the TV time, and then they just decided to upload this as an exclusive. I don't really know. Got 672k. It's not a bad number, but there was circumstances behind getting that number. So that's probably the reason why it's so high. And because, when was the last time we've seen an NXT clip get above a million, 500,000? It hasn't happened in God. Probably Joe Hendry appearing on NXT like 6 months ago was the last time it happened. Second place with full match, Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams. NXT title last man standing match. That's got 219k. Again, that's the best of a really bad bunch, really, if you take out the number 1 clip. Not much happening there, but it's above 200k, so it's a win, I guess, for them, but nothing spectacular. Third place, we get Jasper Troy ends El Grande Americano's reign as Speed Champion, 132k. This guy is an absolute jobber. Why he's beat El Grande, I don't really know. Jasper Troy, who gives a shit about this guy? Certainly not me. I'd be surprised if anybody cares about him. Fourth place, Thea Hale sent a message to Chelsea Green with a victory over Alba Fire. Yeah, Thea Hale gets a win over the jobber that follows around Chelsea Green. Not the most exciting clip of all time. Wasn't a great match either. 102k, Thea Hale. Yeah, just not really interested in that at all. Right, fifth place we had Tatum Paxley refuses to back down for JC Jane, 85k. So this kicked off the show. Tatum Paxley ends up giving JC Jane another rematch, or not another rematch, but gives her a rematch, gives her a shot at the title. 85k, not many people caring. Right, up next in, what are we, 5th place? No, 6th place. So joint 6th and 7th, we've got Fallon Henley punches her ticket to Gold Rush with a speed victory. That's got 74k. Honestly, I don't know how a speed match between two women on NXT is getting 74,000, but there you go. And then Leon Slater returns to NXT to help Siobhan Evans fight Dark State. Dark State are a failed faction. They're fucking jobbers. People pretend they're as good as Nexus. No, they're not. No, they're not. 74k. Nobody cares about Leon Slater for TNA either. I know WWE are going to sign this guy because he's athletic and Shawn Michaels likes him, but the guy's got no character, no personality. Well, nobody in wrestling does, but anyway, he sucks. We don't want to see him. And then in last place, it was Blake Monroe channels The Woman from Hell in haunting speech. That's got 66k. It was the lowest viewed clip from NXT, which is disappointing because I thought it was the best thing on NXT. But again, character work, promos, people just don't like that. Blake Monroe, though, she's probably the best thing on NXT right now. Right, let's move on to Dynamite then. So, again, the numbers overall were slightly better than NXT, but NXT had that big 600-odd-k clip that AEW just didn't have. But you can see in general, yeah, there's less clips, but on average, they seem to be a bit higher in the numbers. So, in first place, we had the men's Blood and Guts match highlights. This got 297k. A 20-minute clip, for God's sake. You may as well watch the full fucking match at this point. Although I think both Blood and Gut matches lasted like an hour long. That's insane. So yeah, that got 297k. Second place, we had Exclusive, what happened after AEW Blood and Guts went off the air. It's got 219k. Honestly, I just see Orange Cassidy sitting in the corner with a microphone, and that's one reason that I would not check this out. That's one reason I would not bother clipping on this. I mean, who wants to see what this guy can just put his hands in his pockets, do a 180, and walk the fuck away, because nothing Orange Cassidy is going to do or say is going to draw my attention. So yeah, fuck Orange Cassidy. Third spot, we've got the women's Blood and Guts match. That's got 179k. So yeah, just a bit less than the men's, to be fair. I mean, look at the men's. You've got some guy there going through a flaming table. Just looks a bit more interesting. Don't get me wrong. The women's match has got a lot of hot women, damn it. But yeah, overall, the men's highlight clip just looks a bit better. That thumbnail, you just got the effects of someone going through a flaming table. What are we on now? Fourth spot, we've got AEW Dynamite highlights. Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know if this was for the world title or not. Got 124k. I believe Hangman Page is the champion. So yeah, maybe he'll be disappointed that he's down in fourth spot there, but that's because you suck, Hangman. You suck. And then last spot, we've got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat comes face to face with FTR. That's got 87k. And I don't blame Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I don't blame Steamboat at all. I blame FTR. If you watch the clips, guys, if you look at the clips, and trust me, on this channel we kind of dissect this shit every week. FTR's always among the lowest, and I mean always among the lowest. There's a common trend here, and that trend seems to be FTR are fucking garbage and nobody cares about FTR. So yeah, they want to call themselves FTR. They want to do it as a little play on their WWE tag team name. Well, literally, how about fuck FTR? How about that? Fuck the Revival, because these guys suck. They were never any good. Just two guys that have always thought they were great, when in reality they're lucky to have jobs. They're lucky to have jobs. because they are the definition of jobbers. I mean, they should be two guys that would be... They're two guys that stand in the ring, for example, when you're debuting a Braun Strowman, or you're debuting like an Omos, or like when Kane had his match against the Hardys 2-on-1. Back then, the Hardys were just young kids getting into the business. Even though they'd been there a few years, you know, they were still kind of just working their way up the card, kind of. That's what FTR should be limited to. Just standing there to take choke slams off big people in a handicap match, because that's about as good as it gets for them. But anyway, guys, there you go. There is your ratings. Dynamite defeats NXT for the first time in a long time. In fact, you know what? I'll have a look here and I'll tell you exactly when the last time was Dynamite beat NXT. So let me just have a quick look here at my stats. So I believe it would have been, let me see, it might have been back in September. Was it in September? Nah, it wasn't. I'm talking shite. It certainly wasn't September. It was a long time ago. It was a fucking long ass time ago. It would have been NXT. They got a shite rating back in July. Yeah, I think it was July. Yeah, so July. July was the last time that AEW beat NXT. So it's a long time coming. First time in what? 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Yeah, pretty long streak, but that streak is now over. And we'll see if AEW can do it 2 weeks in a row next week. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Catch you in the next one. Be Fog Wrestling. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, peace.